Fine. So it is the unit number 9, the evolutionary process. What is the topic? Evolutionary process. So here we're gonna discuss about how life is formed on Earth, how the Earth was formed, and what is the relationship between the organisms upon advancing from simple to complex, which we term as evolution. Okay, so about the evolutionary fundamentals we are discussing here, right? So very first, we are going to discuss about how the Earth has been originated, how these planets and the sun, the universal objects have been formed up. That is what we are going to speak, right? So, related to the origin of Earth, there are two theories. What are the two theories? The first one, it is the nebula theory. What theory it is? Nebula theory. The first one is the nebula theory. Okay. So, now nebula theory speaks about in this way. That is, it says that initial, the entire universe will be take. Now, when you go for the Earth, Earth is a planet, right? Earth is a planet. And what is our subplanet? The moon. Moon is our subplanet. Likewise, you know how many planets are there? Do you know how many planets are there? 8 planets are there, you will see, right? So these 8 planets, guys, that is there only within our solar system. Okay. So you see, planets together along with a sun. When we come, we have the sun. Okay, we have the sun, that is a star. So along with such a star forms up a solar system. Okay, a star system. So such like solar systems collectively will be forming up a galaxy. So planets and a star would be forming up a solar system. Solar systems, not only one, there are a lot. All the solar systems collectively forming up galaxies. There are hundreds of galaxies, thousands of galaxies. All the galaxies collectively forming up into universe. And now we do have a concept of different universes are there and collectively that is forming up multiples. Is that clear? So science gets advanced. There was a time, thousands of years back, okay, there was a time where the people were curious about what is there in the sky. And they were actually, okay, looking at the sun, the moon as gods. Okay, so they were looking at the sun, moon, and all the natural stuffs as gods, angels, miraculous things. Some of them they were actually, worshipping them, right? So now you see, because they didn't know what's actually happening. So that the curiosity about what is actually there within the sky, within the world where we haven't seen. So the people start exploring, investigating, right? And step by step, searching upon the science has been advanced. Actually, science means simply to say searching, analyzing about the things. So kept analyzing different things they have found. So step by step, one after the other, they found, and the curiosity within the man to find out that, to quench that thirst has been, started. And now it still keeps going on where, thousands of million kilometers away, whatever is there, we have found. We have found means not everything within as much as possible. We found a lot, but still it is not end. It is not the end. Okay, still there are some more. So accordingly, until the multiverse concept we have built up. So when we come for our solar system, early it was said there are 9 planets. Even you should have learned about Pluto. Can you remember? Okay, what are the planets we see? What are the planets? Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Pluto was also there. Now what happened to Pluto? Is it destroyed? Still it is there. Okay. Later it was found out that it is not a part of. It is not a part of the sun system, the solar system. Actually, it goes around another star, and in its way, it goes around the sun also. So it is, removed from the list. So this is just one solar system. A lot of solar systems are there. Have you seen the night sky? How much stars are there? Right? Did you try to find out any of those stars? You should have already learned in lower grades. You have learned about different patterns of stars. Okay, different patterns are there. Hunters are there. Orions. Okay, big bear, small bear. Okay, different stuffs are there. Different patterns we are making on. They are termed as the star constellations. Okay, constellations are there. Right. So you see, is it all what we see in the sky are stars? There are differences. Stars are there, sometimes planets we can see at these time period and all, we can see some planets. We can visible eye, we can see the planets. Planets in the sense round, like a round we can't see. Like a star we can see. Okay, but the difference is the stars twinkle. We say twinkle, twinkle, little star. No, do you say twinkle, twinkle, little planet or something like that? So twinkle, twinkle, little stars. Stars twinkle. Planets don't. Okay, they give one shine, and that is also because the sun's light. Sunlight falls on the surface of the planets and reflects, and that is why it gives you one color. Okay, so relatively different sizes. Using a telescope, we can observe them, right? There are some period where we can say 2, 3, 4 stars, 2, 3, 4 planets together in one line from Earth. So you see, all these are related to this Earth space, right? So how it is started? That is what we are going to speak about now. Now, it was said to be initial, the entire universe was concentrated at one point. Entire universe was concentrated at one point. Okay. There was no universe like what we have today, according to science. Okay, according to science, we have to speak. So it was supposed to be started from one point and expanded, right? Expanded. But before that, even before that theory, there was a theory called nebula theory. What is this theory speaks about? It says that you can read small particles of materials in the universe. Small particles. Read the part here. Small particles of materials in the universe drift together by the force of gravity, clumped up, and the galaxies, the sun, and other planets were formed. It was said to be. There were a lot of materials, particles in the universe earlier. The startup theory, nebula theory. And they got gravitational attraction. They got an attraction. What we are attracted to the earth, right? We say gravitational attraction of earth, gravity of earth. Like us, all these materials got their gravity. Okay. What they did, they attract each other. Upon attracting, they came closer, they clumped. Like clays when you are taking clothes and getting clumped up. So because of the gravitational attraction, they're getting closer, they hit on one another, they clump. So upon clumping, with the materials of the air dust particles collectively, they form up the planets. So planets collectively forming up a system where there would be a star in the center where they will be moving around. So this is what the first theory spoke about, what we term as the nebula theory. Now something is better than nothing, right? So startup theories, people and all, they didn't know what happened. So as an initiating, this theory was good. So earlier they believed on this. But later this was modified. Okay. So according to this theory, you can see here solar system formed through the collapse of a large cloud of gas under its own gravity. So different nebulas are there. Nebula. Understand that word? It's a new word for you. Nebula. What is nebula? That is a place where the stars are formed. Some nebulas we can also see. There is a place in the universe where the stars are forming. Okay. So some nebulas are given Eagle Nebula, Lagos Nebula. The stars are what you know that these places. Stars are what forming over these places. Right? So you see, this is how the sun and other planets are formed according to nebula theory. You understand? Then later it was another theory which came up with a term called Big Bang. Okay, by the word itself, it gives a bang, right? It's giving a blasting, like a Big Bang theory. What is the Big Bang theory? It says that, as I told you earlier, the entire universe was centered. It was, concentrated at one point, according to this theory. All the energy, matter, and all were there within one point. One point is not a dot point, okay? So collectively, in a certain area, it was there. Okay, but the entire space when we are taking is something like a dot. Okay, you can say something like the parts that are given here. It seems to be like the night sky, right? In the night sky, the stars are there, right? So it's a huge space. So you see, the entire universe was concentrated within a point, within a certain area. And once what happened was, there had been a blast being given, an explosion given. Okay, suddenly an explosion given. Right? So imagine you are taking a pumpkin from this first floor, you are going to put it down. What happens? Would it be bumping back? No. It hits on the floor, cracks, giving into several pieces here and there that would be possible, right? not from the same place. Several places by the size, how it is cracked on, how it is broken into. Okay, so different pieces would be there, right? Small to big. So depending on the size and all, they would be moving into several places. Likewise, just an example. In that way, there was a sudden explosion happening. As a result of this sudden explosion, the particles have been moved away from one another. It was not taking hours, within seconds, sometimes within milliseconds. Why? A lot of energy have been concentrated over there. And all of them collectively have been moved away from one another, forming different materials. Okay. So here and there the particles were there, and again, because of their gravity, they pulled towards one another, they clung together, they made the planets. And different sized planets have been there, different shaped planets were there, different shape in the sense, sizes and all, and how they are structured. Some of them with huge mountains. Okay, some of them with no mountains, but air clusters, collectively air, completely. So like different ways they have been formed up. So you see here, accordingly, universe was an energy source with a great energy initially. A giant explosion took place in it, and large clouds of dust particles were created. Dust particles have been created here and there. These dust particles clumped up together due to gravity, and galaxies were created. And within the galaxies, the solar systems are there. Within the solar systems, planets are there. And so most of the planets, they have got subplanets as well. Okay, subplanets too. You understand that? So this is how the Big Bang theory we speak about in short, right? But about the Big Bang theory, furthermore, you can explore and you can learn about the exact, deeper down theoretical part. But we don't learn all those things here. We are learning only a few parts. Okay, only a few parts we learn according to our curriculum. Is that clear? Okay, so shall we write there? Go to your writing book, please. Take the topic, the evolutionary process. Go to your writing book. Unit number 9, the evolutionary process. The evolutionary process. Okay. And take the subtopic, origin of Earth. Subtopic means it is the first topic actually. Origin of Earth. Origin of Earth. Okay. Number 1, nebula theory, and write this down, please. Nebula theory. And now take this point, Big Bang Theory. Second one. I want you to refer both the theories in your own words. I'll just randomly ask you what is nebula theory, what is Big Bang theory. You can't be reading. You have to give me in your own words. Okay? That's the first activity you have to do. Once you are done with writing, you have to refer them. No rules. Let's. It's not. And you guys are in the school exams, no? Check it out. Check it out. When is it? 18. 18 starting or starting? 18. Thursday. 21st. Because this month we'll be having a seminar. We hope to have a seminar on a Sunday, targeting the second term. Okay, targeting the second term to revise completely about the lessons that we have left done. So, how many chapters will be coming for your exams now in your school? What is the lesson you are doing? Maybe up to 10 chapters it would come, right? What is the chapter you are doing at school? 12 also come. This is school paper. Okay, fine. Done. So, shall I randomly ask? What is this nebula theory? Denith? Nebula theory. Just get it.
The particles the image was getting together from up and they parents.
Okay, good, right, good. Yes, Hardik. Nebula theory.
This morning, people found US once they get to upload long tickets, looking at the
Then the national phone. Galaxy is no phone. Okay. Yes, Ahmad. Come together in gravity. Galaxy is no phone. Hey, exactly. Don't read that. Materialism. Hmm? So all those matter clump together and the transfer form. Okay, right. Exactly. Exactly.
this silent expression. That's part of the outside. And the last part is a ground. And you
All right. Fine. So I have it's clear about that now. Nebula theory, when you speak about nebula theory, it was small particles of materials in the universe. Okay. Due to the gravity, they pull to one another, they come together, and the galaxy is the balance of food. Okay. And that is about the nebula theory. And when you come for the Big Bang theory, so the universe was universe was an energy source initially. It was considered with energy. Giant explosion took place in it. So the materials have been away one another. Okay, so accordingly, huge, the dust particles were created, or else clouds were created, right? So these dust particles clumped together, and the galaxies were formed accordingly. So step by step, it happened. So it's only this is happened within seconds, within milliseconds. Sometimes we can see at once the explosion took place within milliseconds. Okay, different parts have been formed up. Different parts have been formed up within milliseconds, right? So one after the other, they come together and they made step by step the atoms, molecules, the compounds, accordingly the complex matter. and then formed up into Earth including other planets. Okay, and then the life is also started. Right. So now, how is it happen? When you come for the origin of the start of Earth, the Earth was initially a very hot object. We read it. It was a very hot object with high volcanic activities. Volcanoes were there. A lot of volcanoes were there, right? Got gradually cooled and less volatile minerals with high density formed in the core of the Earth. So what happened now? It was a hot object, right? Then gradually it was cooling down. When it was cooling down gradually, less volatile metals with high density. High density metals were there. Less volatile. Less volatile means they won't get quickly vaporized. Their boiling point is very high. Their boiling point is very high. So because of that, when it is cooling down, those materials form the core of the Earth. Now, even when we take the Earth has a core, right, that contains the metallic parts as lava stages. It is there, lava, like, okay. So, like, like a liquid, it is present, right? So, you see, accordingly, these metallic parts have been formed. The core has been formed because of the high density, less volatile components, which will be easier vaporizing. And later, Earth's crust was created by like silicon rocks. The core is there. After the core, the mantle, and then the Earth's crust comes. So one over the other, the layers have been formed, and it is covered by silicon rocks. So when you come for the Earth's crust, mainly it contains silicon and minerals and all. Okay. So that is how Earth has been formed step by step. Right. So just a rough idea we are taking here. Okay. Not A to Z, everything we are not learning here, which is not necessary in our level. Right. And the gases. Now, initially it was said to be in this Earth's atmosphere. Significantly, no oxygen was there. Oxygen was not there. Oxygen is what needed for the life, right? This oxygen was not there at the beginning. Okay. So, gases were formed by the reaction between various types of elements at the center of the Earth. Now, core of the Earth is there. Different materials are there, we said. So, they react. As a result of the reaction between these substances, gases have been formed. And those gases have been released and the atmosphere has been created. And it was said to be, at first, the atmosphere of the Earth had gases. What are the gases? Carbon dioxide, CH4. CH4 means methane or methane gas, and hydrogen sulfide gas. So, oxygen was not there. Significantly. The absence of oxygen in the early atmosphere is a significant fact. There is no oxygen. Then when you come for the oceans, right? Due to the extreme heat of the earth, water on the planet has evaporated. Now it was a hot object, right? Because of this extreme temperature, it was very highly heated. So the water on earth, have been, what happened? Evaporated. So it says heat of the earth, water on the planet has been evaporated, got condensed, and clouds were formed. Now what happened? Wherever the water was there, it was evaporated and got condensed like the clouds that we are having today. Clouds have been formed, right? And then what happens when the clouds are heavier with this water droplets, water vapors, and all, it draws down as a rain. So you see, water droplets in this cloud join together and drop onto the earth as continuous heavy rain. So you see, it is something like a fantasy story, okay? What we are learning here. Okay, but this is what taken according to science, right? So for long years it has been, drawn down. So this rainwater, which was rich with minerals collected in lower lands and oceans, were flowed. Now this rainfall, it was very rich in the minerals and all because water, pure water, it was there. Along with that, it was raining continuously for a number of years. Collectively, it is getting collected throughout the space, throughout the Earth's surface in lowlands, and that is how the oceans were formed. Okay, according to science. Right? So, accordingly, Earth, gases, oceans, this is how it is said to be. So, fine. Then, what about the living things? What about the life on Earth? Now, after this Earth has been formed up, oxygen is needed, right? Without oxygen, organisms cannot be formed up. Okay, organisms cannot be formed up. Right? Now, you see, oxygen is very much essential. Now, this happened thousands of millions of years back, according to science. According to science, millions of years back only this has happened. But actually what happened, we don't know. We are building up the theories backward. No? We are building up the theories backward, joining the hands with several parts. We are backward building up the theories. That is how a lot of things we found. That's correct or wrong? That's a question mark. I told you something is better than nothing. So with evidences so far found, we are building up the stories. Okay. And some places are there where they are not merging. Okay. So here you end up, the other point is starting here. There is no evidence to connect. What you do, imaginary you are building, you are trying the math to find out, but nothing is there. So what happens? We bridge with imaginary solutions. So that is how all these have been created. Otherwise, we don't know, right? Okay, tens of years back, whatever happened in our life also we can't remember at once, no? 100%. So how come it's thousands of millions of years back what happened in, you know? And that time we didn't have the advanced technology and also right to keep them saved and all, no? Okay. So nowadays we have whatever is happening, we are saving for the next generation to see. But we haven't got that in 100 years back generations and all. So we keep researching. So anyhow, according to this, there were a lot of theories speaking about how the life on Earth has been formed. Four theories are there. What are the four theories? One is special creation theory. And then spontaneous generation theory. Spontaneous generation theory. And cosmosaic theory. Biochemical evolution theory. Biochemical evolution theory. These are the four theories. So first theory speaks about all the life on Earth has been created by a supernatural power. Okay. So when we take everything we are saying, like, it's the nature, natural stuff we say. Okay. So what is nature? We don't have an answer, isn't it? We say nature is a something. How nature formed up? That's a question. Alright? But science doesn't take in this theory. That is because of this goes up with unseen world, right? So science needs evidences, but it has evidences throughout. But it won't be exploring all. Right? So you see what happens. Now we have to build up some questions within ourselves so that we can learn this point properly. That is, now imagine for everything, if you are saying it is nature, natural stuff, okay, why this nature is only limited with Earth? You understand my point? Why this nature is only limited with Earth? Why can't it be in other planets? Oh, not only other planets, which is very close to the moon. Why can't it be? Okay, so all these natural stuffs happening, you see, without a supernatural power, if it is happening, how come it is only limited with Earth? Why can't it be on moon? Why can't it be on any other planets? That's the question. Correct? Now we may say, no, this environment is not there, we can say. But now it is being found, right? Several planets are there with the same environment. There are planets found millions of kilometers away, which is as same as the Earth. Which is as same as the Earth. Earth's atmosphere is there. As a green planet, it is there. But do we have life on that? No. No any lives have been traced. Okay. So you see, it is not something like always nature. Always nature. If it is always nature, everyone should be having the same. Got it? Okay, always nature. But everything has been, designed in that way. So there is a supernatural. Different religions speaks about that in different ways. Right? There are not only 4 religions as we are having in our country, hundreds of religions are there. So all the religions, somewhere it is connecting with the same. But with the people's demand, people's myth, other people's tradition, so it is changing. It's changing. That is how it has been, varied in different. So otherwise, so every religion goes up, connect up with the supernatural power, supernatural thing. So wherever they go, they are starting, they are going backward towards that point. Okay. So accordingly, this is the real theory going up with, but science doesn't take that. Okay. So that is supernatural power. Right? So this is the special creation theory. Special creation theory. Otherwise, there is no point in science to end up how exactly the earth was formed. How exactly what is formed. Can we create water? Can we create water? Not a single drop of water we can create. What we do in the laboratory is we are using some chemical reactions. I'm a science teacher. Okay, but still there are question marks here. Got it? So what we do is we take some chemical reactions. So for the chemical reactions, already we are taking the raw materials from earth, right? We don't create anything, is it? Now I'm creating something and making out water means a different story. I'm using something on earth. That something I'm taking and I'm making it to react. So what is produced? So that what is produced from already what is existing on earth, that is also created in that way. So can we create sand? Single drop of sand? No. We can make the robots, we can make the machineries. But these things we can't. So that is what this theory speaks of. Clear? So this is special creation theory. Okay. So shall I write there? Origin of life on earth, take it away. All living organisms, take topic the special creation theory, theory of special creation. There are four theories here. Okay? Four theories are there. Oh yeah, take it as a topic. Origin of life on Earth, that is a topic. And four theories are there. Number one, theory of special creation. And please write that. Theory of special creation and write that down. All living organisms on Earth were created by a supernatural power. Were created by a supernatural power. So these things and all, we should not be limiting up with only the lesson. Furthermore, we have to explore and so we can get the correct idea. Okay. Created by a supernatural power. Right? Fine. The second one. Theory of spontaneous generation. Spontaneous generation theory was also there for some time. The people believed on this. That is, you will have seen when the uh, disposed materials are there. Okay. There will be some sort of insects coming out continuously, right? Okay. And also, the piece of clothes when you are getting collected, rats will be coming out. Flesh of meat you keep, maggots will be formed. Maggots will be formed, flies will be coming out. And the skeletons are there, or else the decayed wood is there. You can see the weevils as well. So people believed in these observations earlier as these non-living things are what forming into creating out living things. Like the wooden parts giving out weevils, the termites and all. Right? And skeleton and all are there, fish skeleton and all are there. There would be millipedes, centipedes, those parts. So they were believing like it is because of non-living things. So non-living things are what giving out the living things. This is the theory we term as spontaneous generation. Actually, non-living to living means automatically it's happening. With no reason, with no cause, it happens to be. The life is formed. So this is the theory speaks about the spontaneous generation theory. It was believed for some time on Earth, but later it was also disproved. It was also neglected by certain evidences. So let's take the topic, spontaneous generation theory, and we write there down. Right. So what are the examples? Rats were born from pieces of cloth, maggots were born from rotten meat, weevils were born from decayed wood. So these are few examples. Okay. Right. Done? Okay. Now, there were two activities, two experiments done to disprove this. Okay, look at this. Now, it was Louis Pasteur. What he did was, the people were believing in that maggots have been formed from fresh flesh, or else the meat, rotten meat. Now, the meat, when you are keeping it exposed to air, gets rotten. And from that, the maggots are forming. Okay. So there was another person called Francisco Reddy. He has also done some experiments to prove that. What this person did, he took sterilized nutritional media added to two similar swan neck, like here the swan neck is given, that the apparatus is given over there, right? So what he did, he took two identical swan neck materials, okay, and then what he did was he just added some nutritional stuffs, equal amounts he has added. Then he covered both of them. No growth of living organisms was observed. But he did, both the containers have been covered like this. Okay. He has heated that and no growth of microorganisms to be seen. Then what he did was, he was just kept it over a plate. Right? After about a year, when he was observing also the same thing, no any growths are there, no any microorganisms. That means non-living things are not giving rise to living things. If it is so, organisms should have been grown up for this 1 year, because nutritional environment was given. Nutritions are given, all what is needed for the growth is given, but the growth is not there. It's totally sealed. After about a year, when it was taken off, one of the neck was broken. There are two, right? One of the neck was broken and it was kept. After a while, it could be seen where the neck was broken, it is exposed out, right? The head was broken. Now it is exposed out. And the nutrition is there still. It could be seen that within that vessel, within that flask, microorganisms are growing. Still, the other one, there is no microorganisms because it's totally covered. So he was analyzing this and identified that that is not because of the nutritional values given the microorganisms are growing up. From the atmosphere, microorganisms are added and growing up. That is why without an egg, when it is exposed outside, people go inside and they are growing over there. Okay. So accordingly, he has shown that not because of just the non-living things, the living things are given, but because of the living things go there, settle and go up. So same way, Francisco already has also shown some experiments. What he did was, people were believing that the nuggets are forming from the rotten meat. What he did, he took two vessels. In both the vessels, he kept rotten meat. Okay, rotten meat. Or else he kept, let's say, two meat, fresh meat he kept. Both of them were covered up. Both of them were covered up. But in one, what he did was, he is totally covered. He has totally covered. And covered in the sense, he has put a net. Okay, has put a net. And the other one he kept, let's say, two experiments in this week. The other one, it was kept like free. There is no lid. Now, both of them are exposed. One is exposed with no lid, the other one is exposed with a net. Totally a net. And a covering was there. What could be seen? With time, eventually it could be seen that the flies are going out from the rotten meat where it is exposed. Okay. And the other one, meat is inside the bottle. It is covered at the top with a net. So flies are growing, flies are moving, they are moving around in that area, not on the meat, not on the rotten meat. So what has disproved there is spontaneous generation theory is wrong. There is no living things forming from the non-living things, but what happens here is the flies come over there and they lay eggs on the rotten meat. So the eggs are getting the nutrition over there and they are growing. And the maggots are. So when it is exposed, that happens from the surface of the little meat. But the other side, it was covered with a net. So over the net, the flies are just moving. There is no maggots formed from the rotten meat. So this disproves that spontaneous generation theory is wrong. Did you understand that? So both the theories, both the experiments show that spontaneous generation theory is totally wrong. Okay, and then cosmosaic theory. What is cosmosaic theory? Now we have a belief on this also, right? That something maybe spacecraft from aliens. Aliens concept is there. Different people believe on that, aliens. So these aliens are angels coming from other planets and all of the universe, time travel, so and so different stories are there. It was believed earlier also life on Earth should have been started from another universe or another planet which came here. Or maybe a spacecraft broken and fallen down, along with life processing materials or life itself. So it is started here. So this theory is what we term as cosmosaic theory, and this is also not proven. Not proven. Sufficient evidences are not there. So you see, the living materials might have got established on Earth from a fallen meteor. Maybe meteors also, not only the spacecraft, meteors objects are falling. Okay? Like the meteorite rains are. Along with the dot should have been come up with some life processing materials. From a fallen meteor with living organisms or by spacecraft from other planets, this is how the life should have been started. This theory is called cosmosaic theory. So let's take it from cosmosaic theory. Quick write down. Are you guys having any classes on Sundays? Sundays afternoon? 5? 8 to 11. Sunday. Any class on Sundays? 5? Up to 11:30. Afternoon? Mondays, evening? 5? Mondays, Tuesdays? Yeah? Any classes? No. Because maybe you'll be having some extra classes. I hope to make it tomorrow, inshallah. Tomorrow or Monday. Okay? You'll get the message by tonight or by evening. Please check. Please check and don't say I didn't see. Father, the phone was with father, phone was with mother. They will come home, right? Yeah. Not in the group? My goodness. Give me the number today, okay? Everyone in the group, right? Others? So don't give me excuses once the message is passed. If it is tomorrow, probably after you're having the classes until 11, no? Man. Yeah. Until tomorrow. Are 11:30. Yeah. Afternoon, maybe around 1:30 or 2 o'clock, you might be having a class. If it is tomorrow, if it is on Monday, somewhere in the evening. Okay, you'll get a message accordingly. Please do it. Don't give me excuses. Okay, you have to join to do some more lessons, right? No, physical. Is it good to make it online? No. We'll have it physical. Okay, physically how to come. I'll let you know the date. Okay, by tonight, just check with your groups. All right, are you done? Okay, the next one, biochemical evolution. This is the fourth theory, right? Yeah, biochemical evolution theory. Theory of biochemical evolution. So fourth theory is this is the fourth theory. And this is what connecting with the Big Bang theory. And this is the theory believed now, according to science. So it was believed that the startup of or the origin of life on Earth initiated from the ocean, from the sea, from the sea. How it happened is something like this. Now, initially, can you remember the right? Oceans were created with sex. What evaporated and drawn down as heavy rains, and along with this, the nutrition materials were there. So these materials were drawn down along the lowlands, okay, and it got collected into oceans. So the life processing materials were there. So these life starting materials have been flowing down towards the lower lands and got collected in the ocean. So these life processing materials have clumped, have got connected and formed up a startup cell. And this startup cell is what we term as the pre-cell. What cell? Pre-cell. And it was a unicellular bacteria. It was a unicellular bacteria, a unicellular organism. Unicellular means one cell containing bacteria, and this is not producing its own food. This was a startup cell, a pre-cell. Now, this pre-cell, with time, eventually it has been, grown up, advanced, okay, evolved into another organism, and it was a unicellular algae. Unicellular algae. Now, the algal cells are producing food. They are photosynthetic. Now, initially, the bacteria form, it is not photosynthetic. Okay, it is not photosynthetic. Somewhere it was growing and it was multiplying. Organisms are spreading. Now, from this, some of these unicellular bacteria have been evolved, became more advanced, and growing up into unicellular algae. Algae is the starting of the plants. Okay. Microorganism and then the start plants. So now this algae became a photosynthetic part. Photosynthetic, it is producing food. Okay, it is producing food. So it is growing. So likewise, afterwards, step by step, the organisms are growing. Step by step, the organisms are growing up, one over the other connected. Okay. From the unicellular algae and all, then low-level organisms, low-level animals were created. Okay. Like, multicellular organisms were created. From the unicellular ones, multicellular ones created. Multicellular means more cells contained. Okay. And the annelids, arthropods, like those organisms, mollusks, like those organisms, step by step, they were created. So they were the invertebrates without a backbone. And from then, backbone containing the fish created. Clusters of fish were created. Okay. So they are advanced now. And the fishes are there in the ocean. Fishes are there in the ocean. So from them, then the next level, reptiles were created. Okay. From then, from the fishes and all the reptiles were from the reptiles actually amphibians. Amphibians are made food from the fish species and all amphibians are food. And these amphibians, now until this, they were there in the ocean bottom. Now the amphibians, once they are created, amphibians mean they are living in both land and water. Right? Some of them amphibians have come out of water. They came out of water and they invaded the land. So remember, the first organism to invade the land was amphibians. Amphibians. So some of the amphibians came out and they came to the land and they are growing up over there. So some of these amphibians furthermore evolved in one side as reptiles. Okay, they were creating, they are forming into reptiles. So amphibians became the reptiles. Some of the reptiles, furthermore growing, advanced, becoming complex, they formed into the birds. Some of them they have converted into mammals. Mammals. And in these mammals, different sort of mammals were there, different sort of our ancestors were there. Who are the ancestors? Who are ancestors? Monkey, Rilava, Madri, Mandi, chimpanzee, no? Loris, okay, and gorilla, no? Baboon, yeah, okay. So these are my ancestors according to science, right? Same like faces there, no? Okay. So you see, so these ones in different species they have been formed up, and some of them furthermore became complex, advanced, and getting physically growing up, okay, mentally also building up the man form. That was not the modern man, the historic man. The first man, okay, it took about millions of years, okay. Millions years passed. So some of them, not all the monkeys have been formed in, right? According to science, some of the monkeys with three. So that's actually because of the genetic change. Genetically, the DNAs are changing. So as a result of that, some of them are converted into, evolved into who? Man, the human species. That was the old man. And this man, step by step, moving into modern man. Now it is the modern man. And this modern man is also evolving. Okay, evolving. Is also changing. But that is not a biological evolution where the robots are coming. Okay. The people believe that man becomes a robot. Man is not becoming the robot, man is making the robot. Okay. So that is not a biochemical evolution, that is an industrial evolution. Industrial evolution. Or else technological, better we say technological evolution. Okay. So it is not a biochemical evolution. Biochemical means within the life it has to be. Now you see, that is why I told you supernatural noise talk about why. Because if all these are true, now how many million years have passed? From the monkeys, the man became man. No, millions of years passed. Are we getting converted into anyone else? No, right? It should be happening now. According to evolution. Step by step, all these are forming, correct? Now it has been millions of years past. But are we still converting into any other organism? Oh, can we see any of the, what do you call these, monkeys are converting into man now? No, right? This is why I told you these are built up theories. These are built up theories. Built up theories to join the world, join the history. These are built up by man. Okay. Otherwise, we cannot see any of these things are happening now. It should be happening now also. No? Or any other organisms are converting, we can see. Now, it was said to be like, no, I'm teaching that, okay? That is the frame. That is within the frame we have to live. So there are some theories saying that there were some dog-like organisms millions of years back. These dogs-like organisms are what evolved into horses we have to do. Okay. Now, millions of years happened, right? So within these millions of years, can we see any of the dog is getting converted into horse? No, right? Or dog-like organisms getting converted into no. But something we can see in this field, that is genetically we are changing. Genetically we are changing means genes of different organisms we merge together and we are growing up something. That's a different story. Like lions and the tigers, genes we are mixing. And what is the offspring formed? It is called the liger. Lion plus tiger, ligers. Ligers are there. But these ligers formed up, they will grow. They will grow. But they won't reproduce. They won't give out for new organisms. They won't produce new organisms. They don't have that ability. So we have to keep them muted and we have to keep them increased. The ligers we have to increase. Okay, only limited ligers are there on Earth. Right? And those organisms sometimes would be positive, sometimes would be negative. Why? Mixture of two, right? Mixture of two when they are forming up genetically, sometimes that might be a big problem for the world. Sometimes they kill themselves. That may happen. Sometimes nothing, right? So that is not biologically here. Biologically means not naturally happening. Okay. So you see, all these things are created frame where we learn about. Okay. And that's why I told you all what we learned in science, it is not true or it is not false. It is between merging the points we are going. But a lot of things are there even now that is being okay revealed out what is the real story, what is the real story behind, how it is connected with the religions, and also those things are being revealed now. Okay, fine. Anyhow, this is about the biochemical evolution theory. So shall we look at this point? Okay. Okay, look at this. Right. This theory confirms that at the beginning of the Earth, right, the gases in the atmosphere reacted with each other and the ingredients that make life possible were formed. So gases were reacting with one another. So the life processing ingredients have been formed. And these life processing ingredients were there on Earth. And it is believed that the energy required for this was supplied by electric discharges during lightning. Now lightning happened. During lightning, current will be that the electric charges will be discharged. So it is a sort of energy. Also, eruption of volcanoes. Volcanoes, when they are erupting, they are also releasing energy. Plus, ultraviolet radiation from sun. Sun is releasing energy, UV rays. So these are the three types of energy. What are the energy? Volcanic eruptions releasing energy, ultraviolet radiation from the sun, and then lightning. During lightning, energy is released. So using this energy, what is formed up? Life processing ingredients were formed by the by the reaction between the gases in the early atmosphere. So these materials dissolve in rainwater and collected with ocean water. So these are there on earth when it is raining, with rainwater that is getting collected, and with the rainwater flowing down towards the lowlands, it got collected into ocean water. Now the oceans are having these life processing materials. From these life processing materials is what pre-cell is formed, and that mixture in the early ocean, we name it as primordial soup. What modal soup? Primordial, a different type of soup. You could have heard of, vegetable soup, curry soup, and all it is there. But this is a primordial soup, the startup soup in the early oceans. Okay. Now you see, we'll quickly read it. The first living cell or the pre-cell was the startup, appeared as a result of a biochemical reaction in the primordial soup. The first organism was a simple unicellular bacteria, and it was unicellular, anaerobic, and heterotrophic. It cannot produce food, heterotrophic, have to depend on the environment to obtain the food, and also anaerobic. Anaerobic means with no oxygen. Why? There is no oxygen in the early atmosphere, right? Without oxygen only, it is producing energy. It is respirating without oxygen. Okay, without oxygen. Then the first photosynthetic organism, unicellular algae, was formed. After that, a gaseous oxygen-containing atmosphere was created, right? Now, I told you after the pre-cell, unicellular algae was formed. This unicellular algae is photosynthetic. It is producing food. As a result of producing food, oxygen will be released. During photosynthesis, during the production of food, oxygen gas will be produced. So this oxygen gas is released to the environment. Now the environment is filled up with oxygen. So oxygen environment was there now. Furthermore, the organisms are forming up. So you see, multicellular organisms were born due to the changes took place for a long time period within the body of unicellular organisms. Gradually, tissues, organs, systems were specialized within these multicellular organisms, and the world of animals and plants were created. So unicellular organisms became multicellular, and within the multicellular, they become differentiated by tissues, organs, systems, and all, and plants and animals were started to grow up. How it is started? Cnidarians, annelids, arthropods are considered as the first multicellular organisms. Who are the first multicellular? Cnidarians or cnidarians we say, or coelenterate, annelids, arthropods, these are some examples. Okay, and then the fish are considered as the type of vertebrates and amphibians originated from. So who was the first vertebrate? The fish. That was in water. From the fish, amphibians started. Amphibians evolved. And then amphibians can be regarded as the first vertebrates that enter into the terrestrial environment, to the land. Terrestrial means to the land. Because they live in both land and water, they came to the land. They are the first one to invade the land. Reptiles evolved as a result of gradual evolutionary changes occurred in amphibians. So amphibians are converted into reptiles. Amphibians are converted into reptiles. And then the reptiles are completely adapted to the terrestrial environment. Now, than the amphibians, reptiles are very well adapted to live on land. Then what happens? It is believed that birds and mammals evolved from reptiles during evolution. So some of the reptiles were converted into birds, some of them were mammals, some of them stayed the same, right? So the evolution, look at this. Now I told you the evolution of a human took place, monkey to man. Okay, man came from monkey, right? The evolution of actually apes, we say, right? Evolution of human took place about 12 million years ago. How many million years ago? 12 million years ago. Modern human originated about 5 million years ago. That means monkey to man was started 12 million years back. Okay, from today, for an example, if you are taking from today, from this year, okay, or from the current generation, about 12 million years ago. And the modern man is created 5 million years ago. That means 12 to 5, how many years passed? 7 million years. So during this 7 million years time only, old man was step by step converting into modern man. You could have seen the videos and all, right? Like gorilla, like structures, they are slowly converting into man. Okay. So this is done throughout almost 7 million years, right? And gradually flora was created by the photosynthetic algae. Now algae was there in the ocean, right? Can you remember the pre-cell converting into unicellular algae? Algae are growing. From this algae, flora flowers, plants. The plants are growing up in the ocean, initially in the ocean. Low weight, low level plants were there. That means startup, simple plants were there. From them, non-flowering plants were there with no flowers. Actually, starting no flowers. And from the non-flowering, flowering plants formed up. They came out. They spread over the land. So initially, accordingly, they have started growing up as huge plants. So you see, first evolutionary less developed plants, then non-flowering plants, finally flowering plants originated. So this is how the life has been expanded throughout the earth according to biochemical evolution theory. Do you understand that? Is that clear? So this is what we term as biochemical evolution. So then accordingly, what is this evolution? Evolution, when you take, that is the process of gradual development given from starting simple organism to complex advanced organisms. Okay, simple organism to modern organism, the evolution, the changes happening, the gradual development happening, it is what we term as evolution. So shall I take a note? Evolution. Take the topic, evolution. Gradual development from simple organism to modern complex organism, simple organism to modern complex organism is called evolution. It's called evolution. Right. What are the evidences for this evolution? There are different evidences given. What are they? Evidences from geographical animal distribution. Everywhere, like different species have been distributed. Okay, so that is called biogeography. And then evidences from comparative anatomy. We are comparing the anatomies, comparing the structures of the organism. Like I told you, some of the dogs have been dog-like organisms have been evolved into horses. So that is comparing. Comparing the anatomy, we built up that stories. And evidences from fossil study, paleontology. That means fossils. Different sort of traces of organisms are there on Earth. In the Earth, early atmospheres, and they call some glaciers were found. Okay, some within wild forest and all. Okay, the beds of the oceans. Some of the organisms traces were found. So accordingly, we believe that those organisms should have been there millions of years back. But we are, we are sending those samples through some studies. Okay, carbon testings are there. According to this carbon testing, we check out what is the age of this. What is it? So that we say this much of million years back or thousands of years back only it was believed to be existing on Earth or in water or in air. Like these stories are built up because of that. Is that clear? So this is about the evolutionary parts and the fossils when you take. Look at these fossils. A fossil is the preserved remains of an organism, a part of an organism who traces or trace. Now, what is a fossil? That might be completely an organism. Sometimes you could have seen, no, Ice Age cartoon. Have you seen? In that Ice Age cartoon, it's showing that organisms which were living millions of years back, the way they have been evolved today. Okay, and the mammoths and all we can't find today, right? Some of those organisms were there. It was, but it is starting up with some organisms are trapped within ice and all. Okay, sometimes died, trapped within water. So these are what we term as the fossils. Some of the organisms completely, or maybe as a part of their body, have been traced on different places on Earth. And sometimes their footprints are there. Sometimes their shells were there found. Okay, some what do you call the bones were there found. Okay, bones were there found. So these are all about the fossils. These are what we term as the fossils, the traces of the pre-living or the organisms lived in the prehistoric era. Clear the point? So read that point. A fossil is preserved remains of an organism, a part of an organism, or traces or trace, maybe a footprint, prints on shells of a dead organism. Such types of fossils are found in rocks, ice, peat bogs, volcanic ash, and in mud. Examples. Harder part of an animal such as skeleton, teeth, or shells. You can understand that, right? Teeth being found. When we excavate, when we are mining the earth's crust and all, you see some of the times skeletons are arriving. Some bone systems are getting found. Okay, some teeth shells are taking off with huge sizes and all, if you don't know who they are. So these are giving the traces of some sort of organisms lived in the past history. Okay, and as a part of the bone gets slowly decomposed, sludge and seeps into the pores of the bone, then the sludge once seeps into the pores of the bone, then the bone is subjected to hydration and turns into a bony rock. Now, bony rock is also an example of that. Now, the bone system, when the organism, the so-called previous organism, the historic organisms have died, the muscles would be getting decomposed, right? Only the bone would be remaining. Now, it goes down to the soil and the soil covers. The mud goes in. Okay, so imagine if you have a sort of bone and you are covering it with clay, liquid clay, or liquid matte you are going to cover it. Now with time what happens, it will be dried up and it makes a strong bond, right? It becomes a strong body rock. Likewise, what happens here? The mud seeps into it and dried up and makes a bony rock. So now these bony rocks are also found. And the next one, some of the dead animals get deposited in the mud. Later, the animal get decayed and the decay matter remove the gas. This resulting cavity due to the absence of the dead animal gets filled with materials such as silica sand. Now, some of the organisms died and they sunk into the soil, covered with, and when they are decaying, the decomposed gases are released. That is what biogas we are using as a fuel material. Okay. So, and also then the space becomes free now, right? Within the bone, there is no muscles now. So now it will be filled up with silica sand. Earlier one, now it is sand. Sand will be filled up. So these are also some examples of fossils. Okay. And then this fossil has the same shape of original skeleton because the sand is filled up. The external skeleton of some insects are preserved in tree resin. Some of the times the trees, as a resin we can find, like this structure. The organism is there inside. It is covered up. Maybe because of some chemical structures and all, biological stuffs and all, it is totally covered up and the body of the organism is preserved inside, but it is dead. It is dead. Sometimes within the shells, some body traces are there. So these are also fossils. Okay. And furthermore, the preserved bodies of extinct animals such as mammoth are found within the ice countries of polar regions. So I told you, like in the ice age, these mammoths were found. Mammoths preserved bodies were found within the ice layers, icebergs. Okay. And the footprints of animals such as dinosaurs, it is also a sort of story that we are learning about, right? The dinosaurs. Dinosaurs were also supposed to be living on Earth millions of years back. How do we find them? How do we recognize them? Because of the footprints. Huge footprints were there in certain areas, and it was believed that they were also living in different species, and how they totally removed from the Earth, extincted from Earth. It was believed that huge meteorite rains, heavy rains of meteorites fallen at once towards the Earth, vanish them completely. And the mammoths, because of the global warming, the ice layers were totally melting. As a result of that, they were living within the closer area of these ice. So when these glaciers are getting totally melting and dissolving, ice mammoths and all were totally extincted. So that is how it is supposed to be. So accordingly, these are few examples for fossils. So these are the examples that we are taking as the fossils in order as an evidence of, okay, as an evidence of there were a lot of organisms lived so far in the history. Yes. Is that clear? Clear the point? Totally, it's a theoretical part. Totally, it's a theoretical lesson. Only 1 or 2 pages more we do have under this where we have to speak about the living fossils. So we'll be taking from there at the next class, and as I told you, maybe tomorrow or the day after, we'll be having the next class. So please join physically accordingly. Okay. Ending up with that. See you then. Good morning. Salam.